2019 Great Film Throwback Day, we're going to go back to the magical and pivotal filmmaking year of 1967. Based on all of the movies that I have been reviewing over the past couple of years when I do these monthly Great Film Throwback Days, I have come to realize that 1967 really was one of the most iconic years. It was a year where so many things were changed, so many people started to take risks. We had films like The Graduate, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, as well as In the Heat of the Night, and to add to that, we have Bonnie and Clyde, starring some of the most iconic names in Hollywood, including Faye Dunaway, Warren Beatty, and Gene Hackman, as well as Michael J. Pollard, Estelle Parsons, and at the time, for the very first time showing up in film, the now iconic name in film, Gene Wilder. So this, of course, is the, I guess you could say, fabricated story of the crime couple from the 1930s known as Bonnie and Clyde. They, of course, became famed for random bank robberies all over the American Southwest and really made a name for themselves because of their crazy antics and their love for theft. And, of course, they ended up in a tragic death. But that's the story that you do know. Bonnie and Clyde, through the film, are definitely a very interesting couple. So, of course, the two of them meet. The two of them realize that they need to do these things because times are tough. They bring on Clyde's brother and brand new wife, Buck and Blanche, as well as a young kid who knows everything and anything about cars named C.W. So, I was very curious about this film, especially because of the fact that I am a big fan of gangster history. That is stuff that we really don't see much of in the textbooks, and growing up I have enjoyed great films like Goodfellas, The Untouchables, The Godfather, as well as one of the greatest TV shows that HBO ever gave us, Boardwalk Empire. But this was a very interesting take on this couple because the directors really knew that even though the film was set in the Great Depression, the early 1930s, they really wanted to make it a more modern-style story because at the time that this movie was made, there were great things going on in the United States, like the uprising and the protests against the Vietnam War and the loose trust in the government because of everything that had been happening in recent times. The turbulent 60s really made a statement in regards to how films were being made, and Bonnie and Clyde was no different. The directors really wanted to make it a film where these were not necessarily going to be the villains of the movie. Rather, they were actually going to be sympathetic, misunderstood people that just needed to find a way to go on to bigger and better things, and in this case, the only way for them to do that was to go to the extremes, and in this case, stick it to everybody that was keeping them down. The acting in this film is absolutely stellar. Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway are great together. They, of course, are two of the greatest actors of all time. This is definitely also one of the best performances that I've ever seen from Gene Hackman. Gene Wilder has a small role, but you could definitely tell in this, while this is a drama, there is definitely a role for Gene Wilder here, and you can definitely see that he plans on going into things like comedy because he is very funny. And there is a great deal of comedy in this film, too. There's also a lot of groundbreaking effects in this film, also a film that featured extreme violence that we had never seen before like that on screen, as well as some of the most amazing car chases for a 1960s film. Another thing that we had not really seen much and really did not become something even grander until The French Connection. This movie was definitely an entertaining one. It was fun to watch. The drama was very well put together. It had a great pace. There was really not a time where I felt uninterested, and I really got behind the characters. And as someone who has been growing up knowing that there are some times when you can in fact enjoy watching the villains, there is no reason why you shouldn't enjoy these villains as well. This movie also got numerous Academy Award nominations, and Estelle Parsons did in fact get an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, and quite frankly, I never would have imagined her being the member of the cast that stuck out. She was absolutely fantastic. She started off very, very slow, and she really wasn't someone that wanted to be a part of the Barrow Gang, but all of a sudden, as things keep moving on, you see the darkness start to brew inside her, and the fact that she really decides that she wants to be a part of it. And also, what I really appreciated about this film was how realistic it was. When you take a look at a lot of movies that involve people that turn to a life of crime, you see a lot of times where things can slow down, things can actually give them a chance to breathe and stretch their legs, but in this case, there was no time for that. This was always fast-paced, they were always on the run, they were always looking for a place to hide, and the authorities were always on their tail. So it was definitely more of a realistic depiction of what thieves are like in the real world. If there was anything negative that I could say about this film, I have to admit that the one thing I didn't care much about was the love story between Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrows. That just didn't seem natural to me, especially in the beginning when it seemed, and I never imagined that I would use this term for a classic film like Bonnie and Clyde. The love story was way too insta-lovey, and it just didn't seem believable. I thought the characters were very believable, but at the same time, I felt that the romance between these two was not so much as believable. But it was still a great film. I definitely would like to see this film again. Is it one that I would like to buy on DVD? I haven't come to that decision yet, because I do feel that I should give this one another couple of watches before I actually decide if I will purchase it. But it is definitely one of the more iconic films, and once again, 1967 proves that it really was one of the greatest years for all of film. I am going to give Bonnie and Clyde a 3.5 stars out of 4. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Please leave your comments in the box below, and let's discuss Bonnie and Clyde, and I will see you in the next one. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.